Starkville police may have a breakthrough in a cold case from 1990 known as the Labor Day murders. Thanks for joining us tonight at 5. I'm Scott Martin. Semen-based DNA samples from the near 30-year-old murder were sent to the analysis company Parabon, the same company that helped identify the Golden State serial killer earlier this year. Starkville PD recently received the prints of what the Labor Day killer may have looked like, both then and now, including eye and hair color, skin tone, and facial structure. All that's left is putting a name to a face.
It's not like a coffee mug laying on the coffee table, some kind of DNA like that. It is semen-based DNA from the vaginal area of the victim. They will take the genetic genealogy and the DNA, and they will look for people that are kinship to this.
Now, that genealogy search you just heard is already in the works. Sergeant Bill Lott with Starkville PD hopes to get results in the next couple of weeks, putting us near the 28th anniversary of the murders. Without DNA preservation, those samples from years ago wouldn't have been here. It's the same care the Columbus Forensics Lab emphasizes. Lab Director Austin Shepard says with DNA technology progressing faster every year, decades-old cold cases are closer to being solved.
It's very, very important that that evidence is retained and retained correctly over the years, but as long as it is retained, there really is always that chance, that hope of us eventually making an identification through DNA.
In May of last year, Columbus PD solved a string of murders over 20 years old thanks to their preservation of evidence. Well, testimony in Derek Bankhead's third murder trial is underway this morning. The Attorney General's office is prosecuting the case. Prosecutors say Bankhead's cousin, Eddie Bankhead, was shot and killed during an armed robbery back in July of 2011. Michael Ross, also charged in the crime, was the state's first witness today. Former police chief Sylvain McQueen is also expected to testify. Derek Bankhead's first conviction was overturned after it was learned District Attorney Scott Colomb was a stand-in defense attorney for Bankhead during a 2011 preliminary hearing. The second trial ended after the jury deadlocked on a decision. A Louisville man accused of killing his wife and son has his case overturned to the grand jury. Today, during a preliminary hearing in Justice Court, 50-year-old Fred Island is charged with 2 counts of capital murder. Island allegedly set fire to an apartment where 4 people were sleeping. His wife and children were inside at the time. Island's wife, Meredith Island, died at the scene. 3 days later, their son, 17-year-old Wilfredius Island, died from his injuries from that blaze. Bond has been denied in that case. The suspects in crimes will have their day in court. In fact, it often seems like people who are charged with a crime make several appearances in front of a judge, and that's before a trial ever happens. So what is the process? For answers, we turn to our legal expert, Jeff Hosford. Jeff, what is the first step through the court system for a person who has been arrested?
Well, the first step is they have a hearing within a certain amount of time to have a bond set. Once that bond is set, then they can get out of jail, or their next step after that will be a preliminary hearing where there's a presentation of the facts against the individual to determine if there's sufficient probable cause to hold the individual or to continue with the charge.
And Jeff, we've talked about initial and preliminary hearings. What is the difference between an initial appearance and a preliminary hearing?
Initial appearance occurs when after you've been arrested, within a certain period, usually 24 to 48 hours, the judge will set your bond. And that is where your initial appearance occurs, where they set that first bond so that person has a right to get out of jail. Because the Constitution of the United States says every person is entitled to bond unless there are certain conditions that are met, like a danger to society or something like that, or ongoing risk to society, or the crime is so severe that there should be no bond set. After that, then you have what they call a preliminary hearing, and that allows the defense attorney to call the witnesses of the state to the stand, and they got to prove a lower standard than beyond a reasonable doubt, which is preponderance of the evidence that the person has and believed to be convicted or believed to be able to be convicted of the crime.
All right, and Jeff, does everyone make an appearance in Justice Court?
Justice Court is one of the 2 courts it's typically done in. It's either done in Justice Court or Municipal Court. Justice Court is where the county cases are brought, which usually involve the Sheriff's Department, and Municipal Court is where the city cases are brought, which usually involves the City Police Department.
All right, Jeff, thank you very much for being with us this afternoon. In other crime news today, a Lowndes County woman accused of stabbing her then boyfriend in the stomach on Valentine's Day is indicted. Grand jurors indicted Charity Harkins on one count of attempted murder. Lowndes County deputies were called to a home on Highway 69 and found blood throughout the home. A short time later, deputies heard Barry Ferguson calling out to them. He had a cut to the abdomen. In a separate charge, Harkins was indicted on a domestic violence third offense that involves the same victim. She has been arrested 3 times this year on domestic-related incidents. 28-year-old mother Shanita Williams is facing child abuse charges. Columbus Police Chief Fred Shelton says the grandmother of the child filed a complaint with CPD about the alleged abuse. Investigators say the child was taken to the hospital for treatment. Shelton did not say how the child was injured, but did say the minor was released from the hospital. Williams' bond is set at $10,000. That incident is still under investigation. Well, federal charges are pending against a Calhoun County burglary suspect. A U.S. Postal Service spokesman confirms the charges are waiting to be filed against Jackie Yates. Now, Yates is accused of breaking into the Derma post office. He's also accused of several other break-ins. Investigators believe Yates broke into a church, the same church that is, on 2 separate occasions. Well, time now to get a first look at our Wednesday forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson. Keith, a different feel in the air today.
Scott, remember, it feels like fall, although it's still August. A live view from downtown Louisville. You can see a mix of sun and clouds out there. Temperatures in the mid-80s in many spots. Starkville, though, 82. Not too shabby around here. No rain here. This is a visible satellite and the radar. Just some friendly clouds. If you're heading out this evening, maybe doing some barbecuing, 80s and then some 70s. A bit of a breeze this afternoon. That refreshing northerly breeze that will settle on down later tonight. And look at these lows down into the mid-60s, around 64 degrees. As we look ahead, more quiet weather for the end of the work week. The humidity will eventually come on back, but the rain chances will stay low for the near term, Scott. I'll show you that in the 7-day forecast in just a few minutes.
Definitely loving it. All right, thank you very much, Keith. Well, talks continue in Starkville or Stark Vegas as the city looks to expand. Slaughter and Associates presented Phase 2 of the plan to expand the Starkville city limits. Now, Phase 2 consists of identifying things in the outlying areas that might appeal to the city. Mayor Lynn Spruill says growing its numbers would be very beneficial for the city and for everyone living there.
With that population increase, you see retail development, you see business interests come. All of those are interested in having the quantity of population that allows them to have successful businesses and to show that there is growth and activity going on in an area.
The mayor says she's hoping to get the city annexed before the 2020 census. A change in numbers is spurring some cooperation among Columbus and Lowndes County leaders. During a meeting this morning, county supervisors agreed to pass a resolution giving the city of Columbus $600,000 for parks and recreation and a 2% restaurant tax resolution. However, the money would be contingent on the legislature passing the tax during the upcoming special session. City councilmen approved the same tax resolution this afternoon. At first, Mayor Robert Smith balked at the idea. He said county leaders were not giving the city $600,000 that was promised in a December 2017 resolution. Money from the tax would be split between the city, county, the Link, and Convention and Visitors Bureau. The hurdle is the plan is in the governor's did not include in the governor's restaurant tax. Sorry about that, y'all. It's not in the plan for the special session or on that agenda. The governor can amend that agenda, though, at any time. And speaking of that special session, tomorrow starts that special session. Governor Phil Bryant made it official yesterday. A state senator from Northeast Mississippi is hopeful hundreds of millions of dollars from the BP settlement can be used to help fund infrastructure repair. District 6 Senator Chad McMahon says there has been a lot of proposals to fund infrastructure repair across the state. The Republican from Guntown says it makes sense to utilize a portion of the $700 million paid by BP for the 2010 Deepwater Horizon oil spill. Senator McMahon says the money could be invested and pay dividends for years.
A perpetual investment fund or a perpetual funding mechanism of some kind for the people of Mississippi, whether that be for transportation or a portion of it be for transportation. Maybe a portion of it goes to support community colleges, support young people getting certified degrees from our community colleges. But I'd like to see the funds be spent in a way that we get a return on those investments.
Senator McMahon said he would not be in favor of a state lottery to help fund transportation needs. He says most of the people in his district he has spoken with do not want a state lottery. Well, getting lost in a good book really pays off at one Alabama school. We'll take you there next.
Mic check 1 2, testing the mic. Mic check. Hey Scott.
You're watching WCBI's News at 5.
Welcome back, everyone. Teachers push their students to be their very best every day in the classroom. That hard work has paid off at South Lamar School in Millport, Alabama. Our Jory Towley joins us live in the studio and shares with us why they're celebrating. Hey, Jory.
Hey Scott. So the school recently was awarded several $1,000s because of test scores. The scores are based off of last year's state testing for third graders. Those third graders are now in the fourth grade, and the school says they couldn't be more prouder.
The Alabama State Department of Education set aside $1 million to reward schools who scored in the top 50 in third grade reading gains. South Lamar School made that list.
They wanted this to be an incentive for schools to work hard to improve test scores and to push and challenge these kids, and so that's how it came about. And then of course at the end of the year they always pull our test scores and look, and we were on the top of the list.
Each school is being awarded $20,000 for their scores.
We don't really know yet. We've kind of thrown around some ideas, you know, because we have a lot of needs that we would like to do, but we do plan on spending the money on something academically.
South Lamar landed on the top list with schools 3 times their size.
We knew we were competing with 6A schools and 5A schools, and sometimes 1A schools kind of get left in the wind, you know, thinking that maybe they don't learn as much or can't keep up with bigger schools, but South Lamar School has proved that we can keep up with 5A and 6A schools in the area of reading.
The school has 2 third grade teachers. Miss Abels is one of them. She says she's never seen a group of students work so hard.
They're very long tests. They take a long time, so the kids, when they go in, the questions get harder as they're going. So if they're doing well, the questions get harder, and the kids have to stay focused on the test. And like I said, I mean, some of the kids took up to nearly 2 hours on the test.
Wright says the school plans on doing something special for the group and teachers.
That's very exciting. All right, thanks, Tori. Well, dozens of district and school leaders at West Lowndes Elementary came together to toast and celebrate an accomplishment after being a C district last school year. School leaders made a vow to improve that rating, and they did just that. The district is now at a B district. School leaders say it took a group effort from the teachers, administrators, and students to reach the goal.
Very excited and proud of our students and our staff and our Lowndes County School District, the support that they gave us. Words can't really explain it. You know, we just like to see kids excel and do well.
The district leaders say their goal now is to move from a B to an A district.